To bring you updates, news, and more from our community. To add to all the excitement today, we have Mississippi Moments with Lynette Gore and a news wrap with Subi Lama to ensure you're up to date with all the hottest topics. And guess what? We have a very special guest for you today, Dr. Edgar Simpson. You definitely want to stay tuned for what they have to share with us today. But before we jump into all the fun, here's a quick message from our sponsor. So hang tight because we'll be right back with more Southern Miss Today.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online. Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277, and the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Welcome back, folks. And campus news, Partners for the Arts, PFTA, will be presenting the second annual Pops in the Park concert. The concert is a showcase of popular music performed by Southern Miss's Symphonic Winds, conducted by Dr. Colin McKenzie and the Steel Pan Orchestra. Pops in the Park gives the community a memorable outdoor musical experience. The music performed will be a mix of jazz, rock, pop, film scores, Broadway favorites, and American classics. The event is free and open to the public. Proceeds from the event will provide support to the university's art programs and students. The event will be held on Tuesday, October 1st in Spirit Park, starting at 5:30 p.m. Also in campus news, the USM Institute for Disability Studies received a grant for special education. The grant was $200,000 to support and protect the rights of Mississippi K-12 students and their families through the Special Education Family Advocacy Network. The Institute's goal is to expand access for families of children with disabilities to high-quality education support and advocacy services. In Hattiesburg news, the city declares September as Attendance Awareness Month. The Hattiesburg Public School District has noticed an increase in the lack of attendance among students. The district and the city have decided to bring attention to the issue of chronic absenteeism in classrooms. It is shown that great amounts of absences create extreme barriers between learning and development in students. District leaders said that the constant school attendance plays a huge role in students succeeding academically.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages.
Hey, I'm Justin.
And I'm Rocha, and we're excited to introduce our brand new radio show.
A hotline was created that is a resource for family members and those in the legal system that allows them to talk with an attorney to arrange mental health treatment. The goal of the program is to help reduce the wait time on evaluations at state hospitals. The evaluation assists in determining if an individual is competent and able to understand the charges against them. If someone is found not competent, they can sit in jail for months or years waiting for treatment before they can even be considered for trial. In international news, more and more new species of sharks are being discovered as more of the ocean is being looked at. Since 1989, a mystery species of shark eggs have been found washed up. Most of them have been discovered in Australia. The egg casings were very distinct compared to other shark species. Recently, more scientists have been working on determining what species of shark this could belong to. A shark was then caught in Australia a few years ago in the same area. After dissection, it was discovered that the embryo of the shark had the same type of egg sac as the one from the 80s. The shark has been named the demon cat shark. It is commonly found in deeper waters of Australia. That's your news update for Southern Miss Today. Next, we'll have the latest in sports and weather, so stay tuned. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
Hey, I'm Justin.
And I'm Rocha, and we're excited to introduce our brand new radio show, Real Vibes. That is REEL Vibes.
On Real Vibes, we'll be diving into the latest movies, TV shows, and music, covering everything from blockbuster hits to chart-topping albums.
Whether it's breaking down the hottest releases or sharing our thoughts on what is worth watching or listening to, we got you covered.
So, if you're into all things entertainment, make sure to catch our show every Friday at 1 p.m.
Don't miss it. Tune in to Real Vibes.
See you there.
Welcome back with our action-packed sports segment. Let's dive into the latest scores, highlights, and sports. Get your jerseys on because it's game time. Our next game will be versus Louisiana's Ragin' Cajuns next Saturday, October 5th at The Rock. Go Eagles! Today, September 26th at 6 p.m., the women's soccer team will be playing at South Alabama. On Friday, September 27th, and Saturday, September 28th, the women's volleyball team will be playing the University of Louisiana Monroe. That Friday, that Mississippi men's tennis team will be playing the Golden Eagle Fall Invitational. Track and field will have their pre-regional meet on Friday, September 27th as well. Head to southernmiss.com to keep up with the Golden Eagle sports activities. As for weather today, look for a low of 67 with a low chance of rain and a high of 84. The feels like today is 64 to 83 degrees. Tomorrow, look for a low of 62 and a high of 80 with a low chance of rain. Tomorrow's feels like is 57 to 79 degrees. Up next, we have Mississippi Moments produced by the Center of Oral History and Cultural Heritage with Lynette Gore about her father's farm. Check it out.
This is Mississippi Moments, produced by the Center for Oral History and Cultural Heritage at the University of Southern Mississippi and supported by the Mississippi Humanities Council. I'm Bill Ellison. During World War I, many African Americans migrated from the southern states northward in search of better jobs. Lynette Gore recalls how her father went to St. Louis and earned enough money to buy his own farm.
I was about 8 years old, and we had First World War on hand. When they come back from the war, shortly after that was when my daddy went to Missouri and stayed 2 years. And his aim for going to Missouri was to earn money, come home and buy his own home and be his own boss. When he came back, he bought 40 acres of land and built us a nice log cabin. We had gardens the year round after we owned our own property. My mother raised chickens and cows. Hey, we survived.
Bill Ellison hosts Voices of Our People World War II, a new podcast from Mississippi Moments, sponsored by the Mississippi Humanities Council. That's Voices of Our People World War II, wherever you get your podcasts.
That was your Mississippi Moment for today. Coming up, we have the pleasure of hearing from Dr. Edgar Simpson, so stick with us while we hear a message from one of our sponsors.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ed Simpson, Director of the School of Media and Communication at USM. Join me on Southern Miss Radio Friday afternoons at 12:30 for a new show, News You Need. On News You Need, USM students will discuss current events and why those events are important to them. Listen in on how the future citizens of the U.S. consider news and how those news events affect their lives. Join me for News You Need, Fridays at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.
Now please give a warm Golden Eagle welcome to Dr. Simpson. How are you?
I am well.
That's good. So what inspired the creation of Strategic Communication Week, and how has it evolved?
Well, about 3 or so years ago, we were looking at the industries where our public relations, advertising students were going into, and we noticed there's definitely a shift in the way the industry deals with their messaging, right? So, and we're learning this every year, actually, is that the way companies and organizations, nonprofits, all these folks, government agencies are dealing with their messaging to the public is that they're bringing them together through more and more of a single stream, right? So the idea is that your advertising works with your public relations, which works with your social media, works with your websites, all of that public-facing kind of stuff. So we looked across what other institutions of higher ed were doing. We looked at what the industry was doing. We looked at where our students were getting jobs, and we said, you know what, the direction is clearly toward a strategic communication model. So we set up our curriculum to address that. In a more intentional way. And in order to highlight that, we developed Strategic Communication Week, which is the idea that we bring in professionals to talk to our students, talk about the industry, talk about the careers and jobs available in strategic communication. And then each day of the week, we highlight a specific segment. So, for instance, on Monday, it was organizational communication. Tuesday was public relations. Wednesday was media sales. And today, which is our last day, is advertising.
Okay. So as you just mentioned, each day it covers different aspects of the field. What's the key takeaway you hope students get from participating on these focus days?
Yeah, well, first of all, I really hope students do participate. That is something we've been working on, and it's getting a little better each year that we attempt to do this. But yes, the number one takeaway I hope is that students will engage with the professionals we're bringing in. This week we brought in about 15 professionals from all across the spectrum of strategic communication to talk to our students about the skills and the kinds of resumes and portfolios they need to be successful in launching their careers, but also what are the next steps, right? So on yesterday afternoon, Wednesday, we had a great young professionals panel where we had folks, recent graduates from anywhere from last May to about 5 years ago, where they were talking to our students about, well, here is what my first year was like in the industry. Really eye-opening, really interesting stuff, and I hope this so. And I know the students, based on their reaction, were pretty intent on that and learned quite a bit. So I think that's great. The main takeaway that I'd like our students to do is understand that at the end of the day, we need you to prepare for your careers, right? That means attending things like Strategic Communication Week and talking to the professionals, thinking relatively deeply at some point about what is on your resume and on your in your portfolios, and what have you done to prepare yourself for your career. So we're going to ask you to really think about that. And for instance, you guys are well on your way. You're taking part in student media, so that's great. That's what we want, and that's what I want our students to take away, is this idea that there are great careers in StratCom, and here's how to prepare for those careers.
Okay. How do events like Student Media Open House or Early Career Professional Panel help students bridge the gap between classroom learning versus real-world learning?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's one of the things, like, I hope our classrooms are real world. I know that they don't feel that way sometimes, so I totally understand that. But the idea is to be that bridge, right? So the Student Media Open House that we do as part of StratCom Week is meant to give students a sense of, here are the opportunities available in student media to put to use what you're learning in the classroom, right? Whether it's running a radio show like you all are doing, or whether it's working on our TV show, or working in our StratCom division that does advertising and social media and other and event planning, all that kind of stuff. So what you're learning in class, you can put to work on the third floor here in the Student Media Center. And then for things like the Early Professional Panel, exactly what I said before, the idea is, okay, here's all this stuff I'm learning in class, or at least I hope we're learning in class, and it may feel esoteric at the time, it may feel disconnected at the time, but then this week is designed to help our students bridge what you're hearing in class to what professionals are doing every day in the field. And hopefully there's that connection made, oh, yeah, you know what? This exercise is super boring and it's not getting me fired up. But you know what? In a couple of years, I'm going to really need to know this. And a really interesting anecdote from the early professionals. We had 4 of them, and they were great, all recent graduates working in the field. And they all said they wish they had known how to use Excel. Did you guys catch that? You were. I thought, well, that's really interesting. And I'm not sure we teach Excel, actually, in any of our classes. But that's a really good example of when you get out there, you do your internships, you work in student media, at some point you probably will be asked to do an Excel spreadsheet. So you have to go learn it. And you know what? That's okay. I'm totally okay with you guys going out and learning something that you may not have even encountered in class, because that's kind of what life is like.
What role do industry professionals play in shaping the conversations and sessions during the StratCom week?
Yeah, so we try to engage all year round with the professionals in our fields. And we ask them, I always ask them two questions. I say, what are you seeing in our graduates that work, as in they're ready to go? And what do you see in our graduates that isn't working, as in that was kind of a surprise to you? And they are always very forthcoming. And then as we see what's working, we try to emphasize that. And as they tell us what isn't working, we try to incorporate that into our curriculum and into our co-curriculars, like the Student Media Center. So for instance, the reason we have a StratCom division in student media is because the professionals told us you need an outlet for your students to do what it is you're teaching. And I totally, absolutely 100% agree. So we started the StratCom division to do that. It's been a little bit slow in getting off the ground, but this year is actually a pretty strong year for it. And I really expect that area to probably be our strongest in about 3 to 5 years.
How long has the StratCom week been going on for?
This is the 3rd year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, how do you choose the speakers for the events? Because you just mentioned that you ask people the two questions. How do you choose the people that you have speak?
Well, each professor takes a day, and then they will conduct outreach in the field that they've chosen for that day, right? So, and for instance, I did media sales, which is it's a very small area for us, but a super important area for us. So I just reached out to folks that I knew in the field and said, hey, will you come in and talk to our students? And they always say yes. Folks love to reach out to young people. So Dr. Shin organized the public relations professionals. Dr. Shua organized the advertising professionals today. And then Dr. Katie Anthony actually did the organizational communication professionals that came in on Monday. So a professor will take a day and then reach out to their contacts in the industry and bring in speakers.
Okay. How do you see StratCom Week benefiting students as they prepare for their careers in fast-changing fields such as media and PR?
Yeah, I really think that StratCom Week is designed to be the launching point to get our students to think deeply about how they are preparing themselves. So, we are in the fields where it's not sufficient to just attend class and get your C and go on and eat Fruit Loops and drink Budweiser, right? We need you to put to work what it is you're learning in class. We need you to get internships. We need you to work up here in the student media and build that resume, work for student clubs, do social media for student clubs, do newsletters, do all this kind of media work, public-facing messaging that the folks who are going to hire you are really going to want you to do. So start here where the stakes are relatively low. And as I tell our students, you know what, you make a mistake for me, you make a mistake on your sorority newsletter, you're probably not going to get fired. They're probably not going to kick you out of sorority. You make too many mistakes out on your full-time job, at some point they're going to ask you, well, we no longer need your services, right? So this is where you start. StratCom Week is designed to let our students ask those kinds of hard questions to the professionals who have been there. They've all been where you are in those classrooms, working in student media, and having all of those anxious moments of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with my life? All of them have been through that. And they are actually very articulate in how they made that bridge from student to student worker to professional.
Okay. We noticed when we were here for the open house that there were quite a few people that were not involved yet that were interested. There were a few people in here. What new interests have you seen overall during the week? Like people of new interest that aren't part of anything yet.
Yeah, well, I think that's the big goal of the open house is to it's an all comers if you've heard of student media, if you're interested maybe in working in student media, or if you're just curious about what it's all about, we want you to come in, talk to your student leaders, talk to the advisors, learn what it's about, learn what the jobs are. We have about at least a dozen different jobs up here in student media. They are eligible for work study, for instance. We also have a variety of paid positions. So there's no really excuse by the time at least you're a junior that you haven't spent a couple of semesters up here running a radio show, writing for the prints, doing TV packages, doing the website, working on the website, doing social media. There's lots of stuff to do. So the point of the open house is to introduce folks to the opportunities that are there.
Okay. Looking ahead, what trends or shifts do you foresee impacting the media and communication landscape, and how might StratCom Week evolve to address those?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there's no question, and this is one of the great things about StratCom Week is it forces me and our faculty and our students to talk to the pros in the field and say, and that's a key question: what's coming next? What aren't we teaching now? What aren't we asking our students to look at now? And I will tell you what's really, really coming up fast. Anybody, you want to guess? AI. What is it? AI, artificial intelligence. So, and this is one that we need our students to engage. We really do. And we need our students to engage in a very thoughtful, creative way. So using AI is really easy, right? Using it well is super hard, and it takes really critical thinking and the ability to use it to actually make us more efficient, but not become a robot. It takes a lot of thinking, right? So I'm going to ask our faculty to engage in that. And so what are we doing in our classes to help our students figure that out? And then asking our students, I want you to use it. I want you to use it well and creatively. So that's clearly the number one message from this week, which did not even come up last year. So that's how fast our fields are moving. As artificial intelligence is huge.
Okay. Yeah, we've had, I think it was Nishranika. She had multiple, I think she's had like 3 so far, reports on different AI things. They pop up every single week.
Yep. Yeah, the university is actually doing a pretty good job on engaging students with AI, engaging faculty in AI. So I'm a little, on your classes, have you seen AI policies?
I have seen most of them they're like, do not use AI. We will throw you off a bridge or
something. No, that's exactly right. And so now I will say, I think I'm probably in the 15% or so of faculty that encourage my students to use AI. And I have 2 rules, is that one is I need to know that you're using it. And 2, you are responsible for whatever you turn in using AI. So you cannot say, oh, AI gave me this. If it's wrong, you're going to have to blame Bill Gates. No. Nope. That's kind of the opposite of what we want our students to learn, right? So yeah, and that's an ongoing discussion, and I think our students need to weigh in, and I think our students need to have a strong voice. We want to learn AI. We want to be able to use AI, and here's the deal we're going to make with our faculty. We will use AI creatively and well and with critical analysis and thinking. You let us use it. And I think our students really need to weigh in, have a strong voice in that.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today. Coming up, we've got Subi Lama reporting on Ed Young's Honor Forum presentation.
For Southern Miss Student Media Center, I'm Subi Lama. Science journalist Ed Young came to Bennett Auditorium as part of the Honors Forum speaker series. Young is a former staff writer at The Atlantic and recipient of the Pulitzer Prize. During his forum presentation, Young discussed themes from his 2022 New York Times bestseller and Andrew Carnegie Medal-winning book, An Immense World: How Animal Senses Reveal the Hidden Realms Around Us. Here's what he had to say.
A chapter in the book about pain and how animals experience pain and how many of them experience, maybe if not exactly the same kind of sensation that we experience and describe as painful, then something akin to that. I think that is one of many axes that we should consider when thinking about issues like animal welfare, research, whether we eat animals or not. Right? These are complicated issues, and I'm not going to pretend or offer simple answers to any of them. The other piece of it that you asked about our attitudes to the natural world, I think is a little bit more straightforward.
As the world continues to face global challenges that require scientific understanding, voices like Young's play a crucial role. SM2 Suvi Lama.
Thank you for listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. We are thankful for Justin Ware, our audio engineer, and Michaelan Williams, our film producer, for keeping this bird soaring. We especially want to thank our program director, Shania Williams, our executive producer, Owari, and our assistant producer, Adeline Fields, and our general manager, Dr. Martin, as well as our guest today, Dr. Simpson. That's all for today on Southern Miss Radio. Thank you for listening. Remember, fly, eagle, fly. I'm your host, Abby Bouzigard, signing off. Stay creepy.
Sponsorship comes from Southern Beverage, your local Michelob Ultra distributor. Michelob Ultra has significantly fewer carbs and calories per serving if you are watching those in your diet. You can reach Southern Beverage by phone at 601-268-9111, or you can find them on the internet at southernbeverage.com. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri, and Southern Beverage ask you to please drink responsibly.
Hey, I'm Justin.
And I'm Rochak, and we're excited to introduce our brand new radio show, Real Vibes. That is REEL Vibes.
On Real Vibes, we'll be diving into the latest movies, TV shows, and music, covering everything from blockbuster hits to chart-topping albums.
Whether it's breaking down the hottest releases or sharing our thoughts on what is worth watching or listening to, we got you covered.
So, if you're into all things entertainment, make sure to catch our show every Friday at 1 p.m.
Don't miss it. Tune in to Real Vibes.